Hello, and welcome to the Hive Mind podcast, where the collective wisdom of the travel industry helps you match travelers with the right destinations and the right hotels. I'm your host, Whitney, founder and CEO of The Hive, a platform designed to get travel advisors organized, actionable insights they can put to work right away. Each week, I sit down for focused, real-world conversations with travel advisors, hoteliers, and supplier partners who know these places inside and out. We break down how each hotel is best suited to a specific client profile, take quick deep dives into destinations, and share pro tips to help you make the most of the Hive. And here's the best part. You don't need to take notes while you listen. Go about your day, tune in, and know that every insight from these conversations is already captured and organized inside the Hive. So it's there when you actually need it. And if you aren't on the Hive yet, you can get resources from this and other episodes when you join our newsletter at thehive.travel/podcast. Today, we have a new episode of The Essentials, a deep dive all about helping you not just understand a destination, but feel it. The energy, the vibe, and the nuance that make it unique. Trusted destination partners share key details in these episodes that matter most and help paint an overall picture that will inspire you as you present the destination to clients. When you bring a destination to life with confidence and clarity, you build trust, you spark excitement, and you make it that much easier for your clients to say yes. Joining us today to talk about the Dominican Republic is Sergio Taveras, CEO and founder of Bonvidó, a DMC based in the Dominican Republic. Let's dive in. Sergio, hello. How are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Whitney. I'm good. In the midst of high season.
Oh, well, I would love to learn more about what high season looks like in the Dominican and how we can help us help you. So high season in the Dominican, are people coming generally wanting to book spring break and it's stressful because it's last minute, or are they coming and wanting to book like festive next year? Is it just literally a smorgasbord of everything? What does high season look like for you?
So high season for us starts December all the way till end of April, right? So that's what we would consider high season for us, because there's a misconception that hurricane season, which sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but we'll touch into that a little bit further on. So right now we are very busy with operations all over the country. So from Santo Domingo to Casa, Campo, Punta, Cana, we have clients all over the North Coast and in Samana as well, and finalizing all the spring break bookings as well. From January, we already start getting a lot of requests for festive, especially on the villa side, because those run out really quickly in the DR. So we're already working. I kind of split between two. We have our concierge service operationally busy, and then the sales team is very busy with requests throughout. The cool thing is that because of the size of the country, we do have availability still for spring break. And spring break is honestly the best weather to be here in the Dominican Republic, especially on the villas. On the villa side, it's really cool because a lot of families travel together, right? A multi-gen family. So yeah, busy period overall, a lot of experiences. For some reason, there's been a bit of rain now in February, which is not the usual thing. So we've been moving a lot of activities around, like if we had a catamaran booked or it's whale season in Samana now. So we've kind of had to move in like, hey, it's going to be better weather tomorrow, etc. So it's been a lot of that this weekend.
Amazing. So it's funny that you mentioned that you still have some last minute availability for spring break, because I just had clients email like 2 days ago. And of course, they want to go in early March for a quick getaway. And I was like, you guys, like, why do you do this to me? But ultimately, it didn't work out. But what I told them straight up, like, I was like, just to manage your expectations, you need to look for easy flights from Des Moines. That's Mexico and the Dominican. You need to look at really big resorts because they're the only ones who are going to have any availability left. And I shared Casa de Campo with them. I was just like, it's massive. Try. And because I was like, boutiques are sold out. And I was like, you generally like a boutique high touch experience. Like, you're not going to get that right now. You're too late. And they came back within 24 hours and like, you're right, we waited too long. Like, this isn't going to work. But I immediately drove them to like big resorts in the DR in Mexico, because that's so. Can you, because the DR is so big and because there are some bigger resorts, like, do you find that you generally can deliver on last minute inquiries?
Well, see, this is where these conversations are great. Last minute, I don't like admitting it, but it's a bit of a specialty for us. So one thing that, and last minute, you're talking about something in like a month's time. I just got an inquiry for next week, and we're
Why do
managing
people
to.
do that? I don't understand people who are like, we want to go next week. I mean, I
But
guess
this
if
is
your life
this is why
allows that.
we love the B2B model, right? This is why we only work with advisors like you, because we make you look like a rock star, because it's like, look at this villa that I just found, right? Or yes, there is availability in Tortuga Bay, or for example, we had it with Eden Rock. We're with the team all the time on the phone, so it's like all of a sudden there's a two-bedroom beachfront suite that had a cancellation. It's available. It's not available online, but guess what? Whitney was able to find it. So I love that type of thing, because those are those difficult, high stress moments, like something for next week, are when we really prove our worth, and you prove your worth, right? It's like you find these opportunities, but also because the Dominican Republic is so big, the North Coast, for example, it's still very unexplored or unknown for the Midwest, especially. The boutique hotels, even if they're like 48 rooms, like Casa Colonial, or 65 units for the Ocean Club Luxury Collection, they have availability, right? And they don't run on more than 50-60% occupancy throughout the year. And this
Really?
is yeah. Aman has availability. Playa Grande Beach Club has availability. So the North Cayo Levantado has availability. So it's really cool that we're still able to educate on, hey, look, these properties have availability. And the way to get there for you is still easy, because we can always combine it with a 2-night stay in Santo Domingo and start off learning about the culture and history and the gastronomy. So it's, yeah, whenever you need that type of itinerary, there is availability many times.
So I'm opening up a map now, and we're just going to dive into geography here because I believe that it was a meeting with you or your team that I first even understood that going to the North Coast was like an option, or that it was something
Yeah,
interesting. Okay, so here's a map. So
yeah.
the most people are flying into Santo Domingo.
So naturally, because the tourist hotspot is Punta Cana, right? It's what everyone knows.
Yeah,
So the vast majority
yeah.
flies into Punta Cana. But if you were to look at the airports of the Dominican Republic, you have an international airport with great connectivity to the U.S. in Punta Cana, in La Romana, so
Mhm.
literally 5 minutes outside of Casa de Campo. There's direct flights from Miami via American Airlines into Casa de Campo, so you don't need to fly to one or the other. Santo Domingo still has, after Punta Cana, the majority of the flights. Then
Yep.
you have Santiago de los Caballeros, is the second biggest city. It's where the cigar companies are mainly based. This is where all the agriculture is. This is like a valley, so it's protected by mountains. This is where canyoning takes place, rappelling, waterfalls, whitewater rafting, all of this. So there is still really, really good flights from New York, Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, Orlando, etc. And
Up
then you have
here to the north?
yeah, and then Puerto Plata, the same. You have into Puerto
Okay.
Plata, further up north, direct flights now from Newark, JFK, Atlanta as well with Delta. You have Miami, you have Canada as well. So yeah, there's more and more flights coming. Even Copa
Wow.
Airlines now flying directly over there. So the cool thing about that is that you can arrive into different places into the Dominican Republic, but you can also do like different like arrival and departure areas
Like
in
an
the
open
islands.
jaw flight.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
amazing. I didn't realize that there were also airports in the north. So that
yeah.
like totally opens up options. Okay, so
Mhm.
can you I most people know this by now if you've listened to any podcast with me. I've never been to the Caribbean. Still true to this day. Sergio and I are going to try to change that, but until that happens,
Yes.
talk to me like someone who's never looked at the Dominican Republic on a map before. Can you break down kind of the key regions that tourists would consider for like a first time visit? What are the
Okay.
key regions we need to know about and understand?
So it really depends on if the client is a resort type of client that wants mainly a bit of R and be by the beach, or
Mhm.
if they're the adventurous type.
Okay.
For a first timer, the best way of discovering the Dominican Republic is to start with Santo Domingo, because it's been often forgotten that Santo Domingo is the first European settlement in the Americas. It was the Spanish crown's base for a lot of the conquests all over Latin America. So you get into Santo Domingo, there's over 500-year history, beautiful colonial architecture, incredible gastronomy, the best in the Caribbean for sure. So we would do 1 to 2 nights there, depending on the arrival time. Get in, stay at somewhere like the Kimpton, the first Kimpton in the Dominican Republic, right in the colonial city, super safe to walk around, go try different, rum, chocolate, a culinary experience, get on a bike tour and learn about that architecture and how the Spanish arrived here, when we had the North American occupation, how our independence is actually from Haiti. There's all of this fun stuff. And I love starting with Santo Domingo because then you learn about the culture of the country, right? And then the rest of the destinations around the island become a lot more attractive in that sense. Then, depending on, let's say it's a 7-day trip, I would actually go up north, either to the north coast. So the way that I describe the different parts of the Dominican Republic is Santo Domingo is culture, architecture, gastronomy.
Okay.
Samana, which is straight up north, it's a 2.5 hour drive. You see that peninsula up on the right hand side.
Maybe this is easier.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
So this,
Okay.
if you zoom out a little bit, so this peninsula is where nature serves as the backdrop. So you have the National Park of Los Haitises, which resembles Halong Bay in Vietnam, but also over 80%. Yeah. And so you get the limestone, you get the mangroves, and it's actually bigger than Halong Bay. Largest population of endemic birds in the Caribbean is there as well. You see the petroglyphs and the hydroglyphs of the indigenous people, the Taino, which were the inhabitants when the Spanish crown first arrived. But also very unique to Samana is that over 80% of the world's North Atlantic humpback whales are born in the peninsula of Samana. So between mid-Jan to end of March, you go humpback whale watching. So right now, we're in the middle of the season. So all of this week, we have clients out with our guides exploring the humpback whales.
This is incredible. Do you have to observe the whales from a boat, or is there any opportunity to get in the water? Is it safe, or is it allowed, or what's the situation?
It's not allowed to swim with the whales. You have to watch them from a boat. But if you're staying at any of the properties here, it could be that one day you are even from Amman in the North Coast, you can sometimes see them on the route, playing around.
Cool.
You can get lucky with dolphins, but it's mainly whale watching what you do here.
Cool.
And this entire area always reminds me a lot of Sri Lanka because of this is all green, lush mountains. But then there's 9 virgin beaches in this area. So as well to do snorkeling, eat the mahi-mahi, explore virgin beaches. You can surf, kite surf in this area. So there's just a ton of activities here. And if you zoom out and you go, you look at the North Atlantic, so where you see Puerto Plata, Rio San Juan, Sosua, that entire area. So Puerto Plata was the first tourist hotspot it was the old Punta Cana in the 90s, basically, is what it was.
Okay.
This Cabarete, where you just clicked on, it has the number 1 kite surfing beach in the Caribbean. And from here, you also have great surfing. So this is more boho beach style, like it would be in Bali, but a lot less crowded, of course. So nature-driven activity. So the North Coast for me is where nature meets adventure. Mountainous, green, lush, like in Costa Rica, but covering the beaches. Great snorkeling, great diving, incredible deep sea fishing as well. And then you're only an hour and 10 minutes from Santiago. So if you want to explore more of the culture and the cigar history of the country, that's also available there. So for more athletic guests into rappelling, canyoning, and all of that, North Coast for sure.
So if you fly in, so you could fly into the North Coast based on if flights make sense for where you're departing from. If you flew into Santo Domingo and then connected up to the North Coast, are you driving?
You're driving with one of our drivers, and it's further out. And the distance is such a good question because it's 3.5 hour drive from Santo Domingo, but we always see that guests get concerned about a 2-hour drive, a 3-hour drive, a 4-hour drive. But you don't really feel it because the Dominican Republic, the topography of the islands We have the tallest peak in the Caribbean, so about 3,000 meters above sea level, and also the lowest point at sea level in the deep south of the Dominican Republic. So that's also why we don't get hit by the hurricanes, because the topography is very mountainous, so that you're not driving on a flat road for 3.5 hours. It's like, oh, stop there for a beer, stop here for a little bit of cheese. It's dynamic. It's very visual. You're driving through mountainous, tropical forests, etc. So it's actually
Cool.
beautiful to drive through the Dominican Republic. It's not a boring drive.
Awesome. Well, and I guess like, is there more than just a beer or a picture? Like, is there an activity that you could stop and kind of slot into the middle of the day if you wanted to? Or is it mostly just a nice scenic drive with a beer on the way? Which also
I
sounds
would
great, by the
say,
way.
but both. You get both
Okay.
options. The thing is that when you add an activity, it can be a long day. So it really
Sure.
depends on the type of client. So if we were looking at Santo Domingo to Casa Colonial in Puerto Plata, we could recommend that they go to one of the chocolate farms. So something that's unknown in the DR is that we are also in the top 2% of organic cocoa exporters in the world. So a lot of the chocolates in the US or in Switzerland, etc., yes, Swiss chocolate or American chocolate or Belgian chocolate, but they use Dominican cocoa, so they can go and see the fruit and the plantation. They can try the cocoa. They can try different chocolates, make their own chocolate. So that's one option. The same with the cigars, but we can always add a canyoning or hike or whitewater rafting on the way there. It slightly, goes a bit off route, but yeah, that works as well. But it's just in general mainly scenic, and we can stop over for lunch at like a real local hotspot that Anthony
Cool.
Bourdain used to love, for example.
Cool. 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 As an agency leader, one of the biggest challenges is making sure every advisor delivers the same level of expertise and service. The Hive helps you do just that. It's a shared expertise vault where hotel notes, destination insights, and advisor experiences are captured once and accessible to everyone. That means consistent, professional client experiences across your whole agency, without you carrying the weight alone. Check out thehive.travel to see how it can support your team. Okay, what are the other kind of main regions that we need to understand?
So if we would do a 7-day itinerary, I would say 2 nights in Santo Domingo, let's say 3 nights in Samaná, and then I
Okay.
would end up with the rest in Punta Cana or Casa de Campo, more R&R, Eden Rock, Tortuga Bay, Casa de Campo, St. Regis, etc., for more of
Okay.
that beach destination. So this area of the southeast
Mhm.
of the Dominican Republic, outside where you see Isla Saona has unfortunately become an island where a lot of the mass tourism goes to. But you have
Okay.
Catalina and you have other beaches over there where we take your guests to. That it's a
Here. Okay.
great boat day out. So you mentioned some of your guests had a terrible time on a boat. So what we do is
Yeah.
we curate the experiences in a different way. So we'll have lunch on the boat. They'll have a snorkeling stop. They'll have a different beach stop along the way, and it's a different experience overall. That is the best way of exploring the that part of the Dominican Republic, with great diving as well. If you have diving clients, actually, we had an advisor come last year on a fam trip, and she went diving there, and a manatee came up to her while she was diving. So she saw nurse shark, she saw sea turtles, she saw manatee. So she was like, "Look, I've been diving all over the world, and this has been one of the best experiences for diving as well." So
Wow.
that you can get in
S-
that area, but it is more
So,
resort driven. Yeah.
right. So to get to Isla Catalina, can you depart on a boat from Punta Cana and still consider that as like your boat day? Or where do you need to stay in order to have this boat experience?
Fantastic question. No, you cannot go on a boat because it would be a very long
Too far.
route. It's too
Mhm.
far out, and it can be choppy because, as you see, the where Isla Saona is on the left of that, all of that is the Caribbean Sea, but on the
Right.
right is the North Atlantic Ocean. So that entire area, all the way to Cap Cana, is the number one blue marlin fishing destination in the world, which naturally means choppy waters. But on the left, it's like flat and really nice water. So it would be, if you're staying in Punta Cana or Cap Cana, 45 minutes to an hour drive. And I know sometimes clients don't want to do it, but if they want the right boat experience,
Okay.
It's the way to do it. If they're saying Casa de Campo, we depart straight from the marina at Casa de Campo.
Okay. I'm going to put some of these in so I can understand where they. Okay. So Casa de Campo is here and much
Yeah.
closer to this island. So you could depart right from their marina. Okay. Got it.
Yeah,
But
so
then,
Isla Catalina is a 20-minute boat ride from Casa de Campo,
right.
for
And
example,
then you
and
could,
it's
it's a very
beautiful.
relaxing boat day because you're not spending
Yeah,
an hour on a boat just trying to get to the beautiful place. Okay.
exactly, exactly.
If you're
Yeah,
staying
and
over at another resort in Punta Cana,
yeah,
then you're
it's an hour
driving
drive. Yeah,
an hour to this area to then get on the
yeah,
boat. Got it. Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
And then, of course, there's a big misconception of Punta Cana because the airport is called Punta Cana. So a lot of the resorts that are like mass, big properties use the
Yeah.
name of Punta Cana, but they're not located in Punta Cana. Punta Cana and Cap Cana are really nice. You get incredible golf courses, great restaurants, you get excellent shopping, a lot to do, adventure parks, etc. So, where Punta Cana and Cap Cana actually are is like this small piece where you see El Dorado Park there, on the
Yeah.
map. If
Yeah.
you zoom in a little bit, that area from Weston, where the Weston is, all the way
Yep.
to where it says Sanctuary Cap Cana, that's where you want
Yep.
to be. A lot of the other
Okay.
hotels, like you see Dreams Royal Beach Punta Cana, that's in Bávaro. That's where like all the all inclusives are. Like that's Cancun basically. That
Okay.
entire area.
Okay.
So where you want to be
Okay.
is actually more on this on this side.
Kind of the
And then,
south side.
yeah, exactly. The south side is where you really want to be, and where the experiences are, and the villas. We have over 30 villas in that entire area within the resorts.
Okay. So if there are luxury properties here in this area that you're saying is where
Yeah,
you want to be, and then you have Casa de Campo on the other side, how do you
yeah.
guide advisors and or clients to decide, well, which area do you just focus on the resort at this point? Or do you still make a decision of like based on activities or I mean, what are the decision-making factors to decide between a resort here versus like a Casa de Campo?
So, client style of travel, for sure, is one of the things that we consider. Ages, if they're with families with really young kids, or if it's more teens, and if they're very active. If they're not, so the more information that you can give us, so where they've been to in the past, what type of activities they like to do, what types of hotels they have stayed in, because then we can actually say like, oh, they will really enjoy this. So, for example, the best kids club, in my opinion, is that Eden Rock, right? It's a relais chateau. But what they do there with the kids, it's amazing. So if they're young kids, I'm going to say you want them staying at Eden Rock, or Casa Camp also has a great program. Personally, I think Tortuga Bay is more for older kids, and a different type of family. So people that need, I always like the term old money is the way that I would describe Tortuga Bay, right? Because it's Oscar de la Renta was the designer, only hotel that he designed, and it has this really colonial Caribbean feel to it. You get the bikes there, you don't see any logos, etc. Love that about the property. Then for somebody that's more into brands, etc., I would say, okay, St. Regis is one that just opened that works really well. And then Eden Rock, the food and beverage is excellent. The beach is stunning,
Okay.
perfect for families, but excellent for honeymooners. So that's how we would go about it. Casa de Campo, then on the other hand, it's bigger, right? Like it's
Mhm.
a big resort, but we have this great all-inclusive supplement at Casa de Campo, which works really well. The value for money is incredible on it, because what you do is you order a la carte from all the restaurants, and then you sign it off, so you see what that's costing you, but then that's included, right? So for
Cool.
families that want to have like horseback riding included, kayaks included, want that kind of not to really think about the restaurants, etc., great golf resort
Oh,
as
the
well.
all-inclusive is activities as well, not only food?
Yeah. So they
Oh,
include one
wow.
round of skeet shooting. They include unlimited horseback riding. They include like all the non-motorized water sports, any different activities that they offer during that week. So, for families that don't want to think, Casa de Campo works perfectly, as well.
Okay.
Eden Rock, more
Okay.
boutique, and then Tortuga Bay is just 30 rooms. So it's very small. What's cool about our villa portfolio is that Our villas are either off the beaten path in the north coast, fully staffed, or they are within these resorts having the same access to
Right.
those amenities. Yeah. So
Yeah. I get the question so often from clients of like, we want a villa with resort amenities. And it's like, oh, you want to have your cake and eat it too. Okay, be right back. Let me go figure out how I can
exactly,
find the best options. Because they're
exactly.
out there. They're just not always easy to find.
And in that sense, my goodness, do we have a lot of options? The DR is super underrated in terms of the value for money that the villas can have. There was an advisor here this week on a retreat, and they were like, the value for money and the design of these villas is insane. And I'm like, oh yeah, we can easily beat all other Caribbean destinations in terms of value for money, because some of the islands, right? You get like, oh, 5 bedroom property, $10,000 a night, and what? No, we start at like 1,500 a night for a 4 bedroom property that is staffed. So that only enhances the experience, because it's like you don't necessarily have to break the bank. Of course, we have properties that are 40,000 a night, right? But that's what you want. You want
Sure.
that spectrum for every different type of client, and we
Yeah.
normally match architecture style. We do over 30 myself. I do over 30,000 miles in the car every year around the island, so that we can guarantee that we are your best informed partner. And I'm a pain to a lot of the owners and GMs, etc. So you don't have to be, but that helps us really be like, I know that your clients want to stay here, but with the information you've given us, with where they've stayed, this is a better fit for them. And we've had that situation so many times. I remember once we have this property in the North Coast, Hacienda Tres Amarras. It's a 9 bedroom beachfront property, 15 staff, has its own spa, tennis courts, you name it. It's like a boutique hotel tailored your way. And we had an advisor from the UK with a very, very high end client. And they were like, look, we want to go to Casa Campo and do this and that. And I was like, tell me a little bit more about your client. And the
Yeah.
moment I was like, we haven't worked together, but this is the property that I think will work best for them. Long story short, they ended up coming back again, fell in love with the property. It was perfect from A to Z with that client. And we were very grateful that they took a risk and trusted us without ever
Right.
having worked with us. But
Right.
this is where I think it's so important to really understand the relationship with you as an advisor, that you know your
Mhm.
clients, and it's like, tell me
Right.
about them, feed me information on them, and I will know what type of property is better suited for them. And we won't always get it right? Everyone can make mistakes, but at least there's that background information done, and the research done into it.
Yeah. So on the villa topic, this is like one of my new, I'm going to turn into a broken record things, but what I have started sharing with clients is that too often they come to me like too far mentally down the decision making process, and they come to me with all these boxes that I have to check. So we want a 3 bedroom villa at this budget range on this island in Croatia, and it's like, the villas, the way that you're describing, don't even exist on that island in Croatia. So
Yeah.
like, can we just like back up? And so I've started trying to get one step ahead with clients and saying, instead of saying we want a villa in this destination, you go figure it out, think about what accommodation or what style of trip is going to work best for you for this next trip. And if you decide, I have tons of friends, or I've got a big family, or I've got small children, or whatever you've decided, that you know that a house or a villa or an apartment is going to work best, come to me and say, which European islands or Caribbean islands or European cities have the greatest inventory and options for valuable villas and apartments? And I will send you to London and the DR, right? Like,
Yeah.
if we work backwards, then we can actually find an option that is really, really great. But it so rarely works that way, that they come and they know the island, they know the dates, they know the price that they're making up that they want, and then they want the villa. And I succeed very rarely in kind of delivering on that. But
Yeah.
by then, they're like mentally in that destination already. And so it's
Yeah.
very hard for me to like pull them back out to another island. So this is my new soapbox with clients, is like, come to me earlier. And if you want a villa, I will probably send you to the DR based on everything that you've just shared with me, because the value will be so much greater than if we're trying to find a villa in Turks and Caicos.
It for sure, but also like Turks is such a great island, but there's nothing to do, right? And the advantage of the Dominican Republic, like we've had in the North Coast, to give you an example, a family that took another 9 bedroom. We took them out canyoning, surf lessons, stand-up paddleboarding through mangroves. Like, that is things you can't necessarily do in Punta Cana or Casa Campo. But this family, they needed that type of experience, right? But you can't necessarily do that in a place like Turk. So, and then we get like the golfing family. Oh no, we have people
Yeah.
that play pickleball. We have 2 that want to play golf. We have 3 that want to play tennis. We have 4 that want to go diving. And it's like, perfect. Casa de Campo is a
Casa de
destination for them
Campo
because
can
we
take
can
all
do
those
all of those
boxes.
from there. Exactly. So I personally love working with villas because for me, it's a boutique hotel tailored your way. And I've said this time and time again. You want to start drinking at 7 in the morning? We can make that happen. You want to have breakfast at 10 p.m. at night? We can also make that happen. Oh, guess what? You want to learn about cigars, but you've never really smoked and you're a bit shy and don't necessarily want to go to a public masterclass. So we'll bring the cigar blender to do everything for you directly on the villa. We want to have a mixologist. What do you like to drink? And we had it for booking now in January. Print out of the menu for the birthday, created a cocktail for the client with like his name and his cocktail with his ingredients. Like, let's personalize things because let's be honest, if we look at the direction that hospitality is going to, it's no surprise that all the big brands are buying like smaller brands that are doing something really unique because our generation and the way that it's moving forward, people want more of that storytelling. They want the personal feel. They want the local ingredients, etc. With villas, it's very easy to match that. You don't want to go to the spa, but you want the 3 masseuses there for you. Okay, perfect. We can make that happen as well. Let's set up a volleyball court right outside in the patio. Like, it's so much more flexible in that sense. So yeah,
So
villas are big hits.
what I've kind of deduced from the different areas is Santo Domingo is history, culture, food. Up in the
Yeah,
north is adventure. So windsurfing, whales, waterfalls, whitewater rafting, adventure
yeah.
stuff. And then the Punta Cana area is where we can get access to boats and kind of getting out on the water. Fishing, you said about the marlin. So I guess if people really
Yeah,
want to fish, that's the place to be.
yeah.
Golf is most of the golf in this area as well.
It is in terms of like you get Corales in Punta Cana, which is the only PGA Championship course, and in the so now in July it used to be March, but a PGA round takes place over here. Great time to come and explore the Dominican Republic. You get Teeth of the Dog you get Punta Espada inside Cap Cana as well. Jack Nicklaus signature design. Punta Casa Campo, you have Teeth of the Dog that just got an $11 million renovation, just opened now in December again. That's a
Wow.
Pete Dye and everyone's favorite many times. But I can go on and on. In Punta Cana, like, I'm here right now, and within 20 minutes, I have La Cana, Corales, Punta Espada, Las Iguanas, Iberostar, Hard Rock, the Lakes, Cocotal. So that's 8 golf courses in this area alone. If you're staying in Casa de Campo, you get the 3 inside Casa de Campo, but you also get La Estancia. And within 30 minutes, you also get Guavaberry and you get PGA Oceans 4. Santo Domingo. Golf is huge. And even in the
Yeah.
North Coast as well, you get right outside Casa Colonial in Puerto Plata, you get Playa Dorada, great golf course. And part of Amman, you get, in my opinion, a really unique golf course. It's the Playa Grande golf course. You can only play it as an Amman guest 5 times per year. Otherwise, it's like an $110 membership. Very, very exclusive golf course. Stunning what they've done over there. And there's more being built around the island, but golf is huge. Deep sea fishing, you're not going to get a better place than Cap Cana. And we have a champion captain that we use. He has 2 different boats. Not more than 6 people is what I always recommend. And I never recommend deep sea fishing for clients that have never been out necessarily on a boat because the waters can be choppy. That's how
Yeah.
you get the
Yeah.
best billfish, right? It's
Mhm.
just part of it. Surfing as well, about 40 minutes from Punta Cana, but mainly in the North Coast. So it really depends on the seasonality. For example, nobody comes here in the summer. The summer is one of the best times to explore the North Coast because the Atlantic Ocean retracts. So the beaches, the little cays, you get so much more access, and the pricing is incredible. And we
Yeah.
rarely get hit by the hurricane. So I wouldn't be afraid at all of recommending coming here in the summer. And we've seen it since we started the business. More and more, we're getting great summer requests to come over.
So, I mean, perfect segue into seasonality. So, what is is there a compromise to coming in the summer? Like, if somebody's coming in July or August, okay, maybe we're not going to send them to that region. North Coast is best. Like, I'm making this up. Like, is there a compromise at all?
So the truth of the world that we live in now, and I'm one for transparency, is that Punta Cana gets aggressively hit by the sargassum at the moment. Not as
Okay.
badly as Mexico, but in the summer months, because of course the water is warmer, the currents bring over the sargassum. It's being dealt with. But if you want sargassum-free beaches in the Caribbean in summer, go North Coast. So
Go
Aman,
north.
Playa Grande Beach Club, Casa Colonial, the Ocean Club, the villas there. And it also happens that it's high season for kite surfing because the winds are stronger. So it's high season for that. But then it's low season essentially for surfing because the waves are not, the
Okay.
Atlantic kind of calms down. So all of a sudden you have like great snorkeling, great diving, and stunning beaches. The difference between the beaches in the north and in the southeast, you go from white sand beach to golden sand beach. So it's not the white sand with the white the tall palm trees, but what you're getting is like this green lush tropical forest covering this beautiful golden sand beaches. So I would say
So,
is the
is
main
it white
difference.
sand in the north and gold in the south, or opposite?
The other way around.
Gold
White,
sand in the north. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And the swimming experience is a lot better because like most of the hotels in the North Coast, you can actually take stand-up paddleboards and go snorkeling right in front of the hotel. You can't do that in the Southeast because there just isn't the sea life like there is in the Atlantic and in the North. Yeah.
So we talked about boat days in the south from the Casa de Campo area.
Yeah.
Is it advised or possible or recommended to do a boat day in the north as well?
Big time because of the sunken ships, but also like in Samana, we do like if we have 15 great experiences there, 7 are with boats. Not always are they luxury boats because sometimes like a yacht might not have access to a really low tide beach. But what we use are boats called like yolas. It's a name that we use here, and they're what the local fishermen use for their daily transportation. So it's mainly a transportation method. So the way to explain it to guests, it's like,
Mhm.
hey, it might not be a luxurious boat, but it will be, a great nature-driven experience. So this is just your way of transportation to get to those unique locations, for example.
So if clients were looking for more of a relaxing day just on a boat and not necessarily trying to, I guess if it were transportation, are they going to a specific place to snorkel or kayak? Is that what the
Yeah,
transportation's for? Okay. So if
exactly.
they're
If
like,
they,
we don't want to snorkel, we don't want to kayak, we really just want to laze on a boat and have a nice lunch or something, then maybe that's better in the south.
I would say that for that type of client, there's only two destinations that work perfectly for it. Well, three. One, it's Cabrera, Rio San Juan, where Aman is, and Ani. That you can
Mhm.
do like you don't want to do anything. There's a motor catamaran there that we can use for just literally a cruise, right?
Right.
Cap Cana,
Exactly.
Punta Cana, Casa de Campo, and then Samana. Samana, we
Okay.
have we can do that as well. So yeah, still plenty for that type of client for sure.
Every time an advisor shares what they know, the Hive gets stronger. It's our living library of industry wisdom, and it's ready when you are. Check it out at thehive.travel. Talk to me about like there's so many options and there's so many like activities you could consider. Resorts are overwhelming, like when you really look at like the
Hmm.
number of resorts there. Airports, I have learned now that there are multiple. So if I have clients who are interested in the Dominican Republic, or if they just want to go on a trip and I think they might be a good, like this might be a good option for them, what are some of the questions that like help me help you? What questions should I ask them during a discovery call that then when I come back to you that will be helpful to kind of get started on a meaningful proposal?
Okay, so I love this question because the Dominican Republic, our nickname for it is continent in miniature, is what we the locals call the Dominican Republic, and the slogan of the country is "It has it all." I don't like opening that Pandora's box in that sense. But what I like about the slogan is that it really does for every type of client. So if you would have honeymoon clients, I have a great itinerary for them. If you have a family, multi-gen family, I have something great for them. So some of the questions that I would ask is, going back to the content in miniature, where was their most successful trip with you, right? Like, where did they love it and why? So you could say, oh, they really love Costa Rica because of the greenery, or they really, and the nature driven experiences. And then I would say, okay, we can do that, but keep in mind we have the flora, but not the fauna. So we don't really have, apart from the humpback whales and different
The
animals, there
animals.
isn't the animals or the wildlife that they would get in Costa Rica. So that's one of the questions that I would ask to use an example. Or they really love being in Los Cabos because they could play golf, they could surf, they could do this, they could do that. Then I would be like, okay, perfect. Then Punta Cana would be. So where they've been to that has been successful, that's a great one. The type of content they are in terms of, like, of course, some people just want to spend time as a family, so they like to dine together, or they are very independent, and some like to go to many restaurants, and they like more buzzy bars and high-end cuisine, etc. So understanding the type of client for us is very important. So those are questions that are important for us. If they're culturally very curious, right?
Right.
Because we've seen, like, we love pushing multi-destination itineraries within the island, and some clients will, or some advisors will tell us that their clients are very culturally curious, but that could be culturally curious in Europe. That's a very different way of seeing it than it would be in the Dominican Republic, because
Describe to me the difference. Yeah.
the difference is Europe is a very old continent, so you walk in most of the places. Everything is very organized. The Dominican Republic is more like Asia. It's organized chaos. It's the way that I would kind of
Okay.
describe it, right? So it's not as polished in terms of, like, you will see poverty, you will see some of the experience. You might question the hygiene because you're not seeing it, super polished in the sense of, like, oh, this is a trattoria from 1943, etc. It's like you see somebody cooking with no net in their hair, etc. But you know that's an Anthony Bourdain type of experience, right? So when they're culturally curious, for me, it's important to understand what they necessarily mean by that. It's like, oh, we want to be with the locals. Well, being with the locals many times is something totally different depending on the destination.
Okay.
They're risk averse is a question that we always like to ask, because it's like, okay, they wanna do a ton of experiences, and it's like, okay, what type of experience? Many times for guests, it's like, we want to go on a zip line inside an adventure park, not necessarily in a zip line in the middle of a tropical forest jungle, right? So if you can tell me how risk averse they are, for us it's very easy to recommend that and manage the expectations as well. Comfortable with the
So,
distances, yeah, is
yeah.
something that's important as well.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, I guess the risk averse question is something that I didn't necessarily envision. And earlier in the conversation, what you were describing, I was like, it sounds like Costa Rica. So,
It does, yeah.
how often are you talking about Costa Rica versus the Dominican and the similarities?
We compete often. The main difference is the culture of both countries. So in a way, Costa Rica is a lot more North American. We are more European in that
Mhm.
sense. But in that sense, we have more similarities in terms of culture to a place like Colombia than we would with Costa Rica, or if I was to compare the Caribbean to Jamaica or Barbados or Bahamas, in the
Okay.
way that we live, that we dress, that we travel. We have more in common with Spain and Colombia, to just name
Okay.
two destinations in that sense. So that gives you a little bit more of it. Costa Rica has a lot better English than we do. We are an old Spanish colony, so language barrier is something to expect. I know a lot of guests sometimes complain about it, and my answer always is, "I'm sorry. It's our main language, so we can
Yeah.
use the AI now for that,
Yeah.
right?" So, but it's important to communicate that, like, hey, language barrier will be an issue, especially when you have clients that have been to, like, Tyrrell Club in Jamaica or other resorts like that, they will come back to you in the first 2 days. They're going to be like, yeah, language is a barrier. We're okay with that. It's just part of who we
Yeah.
are, right?
I
I don't
mean,
necessarily want to change that, right? But it's important that that's asked and communicated because it can be a challenge.
you have shared so much information. I think you've answered all my questions, but I do just have one final one for you.
Okay.
Working with a DMC in the Caribbean is unique. I think in general, when I consider like of all the trips that I'm planning and I'm reaching out to a DMC, it's generally in Africa where I literally cannot execute what needs to be executed by myself. Or it's a place like Europe where I'm trying to bring together like 250 million moving puzzle pieces, and a DMC is helping me just like cinch it all up and provide this really seamless experience. In the Caribbean, I think that both advisors and clients, in my experience, come to the Caribbean with like a totally different mindset, right? Like
Yeah.
I would, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm probably making a lot of assumptions here. I'm imagining that a lot of people are coming real heavy on the hotel first, of like, well, where are we
Yeah.
going to stay? Because a lot of people come to the Caribbean, they book a hotel, and that's kind of it. Like they just eat there, they do some activities there, and there's not always like a big itinerary built around it. Like it's very much sun and sand. So I guess my question for you is like, when, how can we best identify an inquiry that is going to be good for you and your team to really like
Mhm.
pull out your expertise and like what you're really good at, and what types of inquiries might not make the most sense to like involve you?
That's a great question. So the Caribbean, because of course, if you look at the history of the Caribbean, right, it used to be mainly European islands or British Virgin Islands or U.S. Virgin Islands. So the idea of running away from the cold and building these hotels to have a sanctuary to come over and fly and flop and have a pina colada and just relax, that has stuck to us for the past 50, 60 years in that sense. So it makes total sense that that's the initial perception of the Caribbean. The main difference with the Dominican Republic, and I would say also places like Puerto Rico and Cuba, is the amount of history. Over 500 years history, pirates, colonies, agriculture, different types of experiences in that sense that make it more interesting. But it's also that countries like the Dominican Republic are now in the top three, well, number one actually for the past 2-3 years, developing economies in all of South America, right? So it is a financial hub, it is a gastronomy hub, it's an agricultural hub, etc. So it is a big country in its own. It's the second biggest island in the Caribbean, 88,000 square kilometers. So to put that on easy ways, it's like half the size of Portugal. So it's not small. It's a very big country in that
Yeah.
in that sense, bigger than Belgium even, and
Yeah.
to put it in perspective. So the best way for me to answer that is we can do both because we have very strong contracts with the hotel partners that we work with. We're more than happy to do a fly and flop and protect you in that sense, because at least you have a concierge service here with our team that can assist you with, maybe your client doesn't want to do anything, but after 3 days at a beach, they get bored, and the concierge team is there to, especially first timers, to kind of push them and say, hey, let's take you out of the hotel and to go do your own chocolate. And then we start that, and that becomes the repeat client for you, for us, who next time we kind of educate them, they're like, oh, there's actually more to do, right? So that's
Interesting.
one thing where we can help, and we've seen it time and time again work well. The other thing is on really competing against, oh, they've already been to Costa Rica, they've already been to Colombia, they've been to Brazil, it's like they've been to Panama. Perfect. What did they like in those destinations? And then I'd be like, all right, let's do a 10-day itinerary, 2 nights here, 3 nights there, 4 nights over here, and then ending up in that bit of rest and relax. That, I would say, is one of our big specialties. And the
Okay.
other specialty that we have is multi-gen. We have so much accessibility for multi-gen. It's incredible. Like the amount of, I can tell you a ton of examples, and of course we don't have the time for it, but from recreating Studio 54 for a 60th birthday party meets the Caribbean. So disco balls with palm trees, and a master cigar blender with a rum specialist. That combined with, actually, we have a super yacht that the client wants to stay on the super yacht and they want to do a route all over the Dominican Republic. and the yacht has a helicopter. So how do we create experience? So we've had to create routes for canyoning that did not exist, use government officials to give us the authority to do a lunch in a specific national park and bring in an entire catering team. So that our specialty is in the creativity of using the nature and the topography of the island to the best of our availability. Whether that's with a marine biologist, whether that's with an environmentalist, whether that's with an executive chef from one of the big resorts, it really depends. So yes, where it's difficult for us to add anything, and it's not going to be the best of your time or our time, is when clients want to come to a big, massive resort and then be like, oh, we want to go see monkeys and swim with dolphins, etc. First of all, dolphins are in captivity here, so it's not something, we don't touch anything that is not endemic from the island. Monkeys are not endemic from the island, so every time a guest is like, oh, but we saw this monkey land on TripAdvisor, whatever, we don't get anywhere near that because we don't add any value on there. So we have advisors get upset sometimes, like, but you're our partner in the destination and we need your help for this and that. It's like, use the hotel transfer. We're not going to bring any value onto that. And the main reason why we don't do it is because you and us, we both end up looking badly because the quality of service is so different. And it's like, it still falls on your lap, right? So that's where it gets difficult.
In those situations, I actually go back to clients and say, listen, we don't recommend this. Like, and actually be really, instead of just doing what they're asking you to do, it's also, I consider our role to say, you know, I will do this for you. I can technically execute it for you. I'll email the hotel concierge to get a transfer. I don't actually recommend you do this.
And in the Dominican Republic, we have a saying in Spanish that doesn't really translate well to English, but you'll get the gist of it. And it's like, here we say, there's money that you don't earn, people you don't hook up with, and alcohol that you don't drink. What we try to say is like, there's opportunities that it's best to say no. And we are your partner in the destination that when we feel that it's best to say no because it's not mutually beneficial, we're not afraid of saying no. And I don't like saying no. I'd like to find ways around it. But sometimes it is better to say no. And we will be the first to acknowledge that and be transparent with you to tell you, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. And we're not the right fit for you for this. So yeah, hopefully I know that I went a bit too far, but yeah.
No, I really appreciate it because I think my biggest, like the complicated ones and multi-stop and activities, like that feels like an obvious win-win. But I think it was okay, maybe we just want a resort and some transfers and like maybe an activity, but not a lot. I wasn't really sure if that really made sense for you, but it sounds like it still does. And what actually is most important is that we are asking really good questions up front with the client to then be able to come to you and share as much history and context as we can on their past travels and whatnot, so that we can then deliver at a high quality. That's actually more important than coming to you with just a hotel and a transfer is totally fine, but bring the information to make sure that we can get the right hotel and still knock it out of the park.
Well, to add on to that before we finish off, everybody knows the Aman junkies, right? They are a very specific type of client. But actually, and we have such a good relationship with them. Amanera, by the way, in the Dominican Republic, is one of the few Amans that is really advisor friendly and DMC friendly. So there's a lot that we can do there. In Aman, it's a great property. But sometimes advisors will be like, my clients want Amanera. And I'm like, one, where are they flying from? So that we can actually look if that's feasible for them. And two, the moment they're coming with kids, I'm like, I understand they are Aman clients, but Eden Rock's product is so much better in that sense. So trust me, like it will be, so even if it's just a hotel and transfer booking, we can come in and be able to say like, by the way, you also get these amenities with us and better availability through us as well. And we could go on to that in more detail, but that's where for hotel only bookings, where we come in as your local eyes in the destination.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. Sergio, I feel like we could talk about the Dominican Republic for days. And
for
so
hours,
maybe we'll need a round two. But this has already been so helpful to just kind of bring the destination to life and really understand all of the possibility that is there. thank you so much for your time and for sharing everything.
No, I have to say thank you to you. I mean, we've always had fun talking, but it's a pleasure to be part of the podcast and educate a little bit better. So thanks for giving me the platform to also showcase the Dominican Republic and what we Bonvidó and our story is all about. So thanks for your partnership, thanks for your business, and hoping to manage to bring you over here very, very soon.
Thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Hive Mind podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if you know a friend or colleague who would enjoy this, please share it with them. If you would like insights from this episode landing in your inbox each week, join our newsletter at thehive.travel/podcast. And remember, if you'd like to contribute to a future episode, whether it's sharing your destination expertise or your experience touring hotels, just head to thehive.travel/podcast to learn more and express your interest. We'd love to have you join the conversation. Until next time.